This is Leisha Holmes, and I'm your host on the Recruiters Recruitment podcast brought to you by Hoxo Media. And I'm absolutely delighted to welcome to our channel today a lady who I wanted to bring to our broadcast because she, for me, was a standout voice during COVID 2020 in the way that she rallied around, shared positivity, honesty about running a business and really giving something back to recruiters. This is Hannah Keep. Welcome to the channel today, Hannah. How are you?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's lovely to be here. It really is. And I wanted to come on, didn't I, last summer, but it just wasn't possible. So it's great that we finally got this in.
It is. And I think, on twofold. One, in terms of you as a trainer, as a recruiter, but also as a fellow single parent, bringing up children in this environment. As we record this, we are still in lockdown 3 at the sort of beginning of or middle to February 2021. So I think on a lot of levels, we share a lot of probably similar frustrations and hopefully good best practice to other people listening as well. So you're the founder of Agility in Demand, but I think one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on today was to talk about the collaboration that you did with Jeremy Snell last year, which was recruiting in lockdown. Talk us through what actually happened last year with Jeremy.
Well, Jeremy and I have been competitors for, 15 odd years, but never done anything together. And I hadn't spoken to him for years. And he just called me out of the blue 2 weeks before we went on lockdown. And he said, we're going to go on lockdown. He said, I bought this URL. I bought it at 3 o'clock in the morning. We've already created the site. And I can't think of anybody else that I would want to do this with apart from you. So, I mean, I was,
Wow.
so lucky that he made that call. So we created that content together and we were running lives. Him in the daytime, I had to do the nighttime shift because obviously I had Sophie in the day. But I just look back on that time so fondly. I always will. It's one of those moment in times where, thank you to COVID really for that opportunity.
And that's, ultimately for me, nobody can control what's happened, with COVID as a health risk, but also from an economic perspective. And I think trying to pull together advice and tips and hacks for people to sort of make sure they stay focused. I think you've just summed it up there. It's, the good things that have come out of the pandemic. And, let's face it, the recruitment industry as a whole can hold its head high, can't it? Because we've done so much. But you and Jeremy, you took people that were, had been thrown onto the job market either through redundancy or were furloughed, didn't know where they stood, and you connected people. So if you look back, from a strategy point of view, what did you learn about recruiting in lockdown? What was your big learn from it?
Gosh, what was my big learn? That's a really good question. I think that you can create anything and do anything if you put your mind to it. And it's not just about lockdown, but it was about the circumstances that got created in. Because if somebody had said to me 3 months before, this is you're going to have this new platform, you'll be creating daily content, you'll be on lives at night time while Sophie's asleep with the risk of her waking up, I just never would have believed you. But we did, and it was hugely successful, and it got me through though, and that was that's what I look back on. I think without that it would have been difficult to have had a real purpose, because I had Sophie in the day time, and other people could kind of like give more support in the day. They could do coaching, they could do free sessions, there's all these things they couldn't do, and I couldn't do that, and I felt helpless. But recruiting in lockdown gave me a way of helping people and being able to add some value, which is what I was desperate to do. So there is always a way. Even if you look at something and you think that probably just is impossible, it isn't, and you just start and it just evolves from there. By the end of it, I'd learned so much just about Zoom and running big live sessions, with like 75 people on them. I'd never done that before. So
it's incredible, isn't it, that if someone had said that to you a year ago, you'd have thought, goodness me, that's not. But it just goes to show how we have embraced technology, and that you were very open with your, I don't want to say vulnerability, but the position that you found yourself in as a single parent. And I know that in itself has challenges, but obviously I know that you've talked, very candidly about, Sophie's particular challenges as well, and what that presents to you. And I think that's where, if we call LinkedIn, or we call the sector the room, you've read the room but also almost set the room, set the scene, because showing that vulnerability and that open and honesty has set you apart. And I imagine that is probably why people are drawn towards you now. So, I mean, I'm a fellow single parent, and my daughters are obviously older than Sophie. They're both in secondary school. And I really want to champion, and always have championed, working parents full stop. But I think in particular for single parents who, like, we're both in the same boat. We're both doing it singularly. We don't have a second parent. There's no sort of dad to take over and give us respite. How have you managed to launch, well, recruiting in lockdown? Obviously you did it with Jeremy in the day, but then launch your own business, so not compromising one or the other? Because I think that if I think about our listener, which is either a leader or an aspiring leader, that's pretty much who's listening. They're all in recruitment. How have you managed to do that and stay positive, focused?
Yeah, I don't know really. I do go to bed sometimes and probably maybe feel like I've lost my sanity a little bit. It's only because I don't get any time for me. And and I see all these posts out there about self-care and this and that and have more sleep, and I just laugh at them. They actually frustrate me because I have 30 minutes of every day to eat and have me time. But I'm okay with that. It's not the best self-care, but that's where we are. I've got a startup, I've got a little girl, and just right now, for now, that's where my time is. And I'm happy with that. I'm happy with where it is. But it is about being really focused, because time is short. And it was the same with recruiting in lockdown. I had to write content with while Sophie was there in order to have it ready for the evening. And so you set your expectations very, very realistically, and you just focus on what is absolutely urgent and important, and everything else just has to take a backseat. So I'm much more militant with my time now. I can't help everybody or respond to everybody as I used to. It's just not possible, otherwise I'll never sleep.
Yep.
So you just have my key priorities for each day, my non-negotiables, whether that's for a day or whether that was for an hour during the day, during the lockdown. It's like, that's what we have to get done, and that's and that's it. No
and actually everything that you've said there, I mean, I'm nodding away. I think people, I always say, look at a busy person and ask them how they're doing it, because we're doing it because we have no choice. But actually everything that you've said there is quite, it's almost quite calm. You're saying, right, this is my priority, I'm a sniper now, this is what I have to do and have to get done in the day. In addition to the errands that you have to then do as a parent and as a homeowner, which we all have as well. Actually, that, you're just not going to mess around with anything that doesn't matter. It can get sort of pushed to the side.
Yeah, and it's the preparation before that, which I think sometimes people forget, because they may well set their objectives, but it's the prep beforehand. So for example, if I look at the key money calls I've got to make today, yesterday I was already thinking about, well, what are the actual key questions, or what do I need to get out of that conversation, instead of, I can't do 20-30 minutes on a call. I just can't. So I have to get to the heart of it and get what I need in the time that I've got. It's the same with writing content. The day before I'd think, well, I'm going to write that article, that's the point of it. So I'm always thinking, and then when it comes to actually doing the task, you're a lot quicker at it, actually, because you're already halfway there.
I think that, maybe that's what we'd all forgotten. I think maybe we're all at such a fast pace that we were just almost a little bit reactive. And ironically now, because we're all at home more, I don't know, you've just got a bit more time to go, right, what is it I actually want to achieve? And I think very often we forget the preparation part. I think it's a really useful life skill. So your startup business, Agility in Demand, you've done that you've launched that in a pandemic. We talked off camera that you're in a position where you've got more jobs than you can swing a cat at, which is absolutely marvelous. What's your plans for 2021? How's that looking for you?
Well, this is probably a really weird goal. Maybe not everyone will have, or maybe you won't have heard this before, I don't know, but I have one goal, and that is to generate enough revenue in order to keep us in business in our second year.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I'm not going to spend anything on anything or anyone else until that second year is secure. So we're not far off that, actually.
That's incredible. Well, I mean, but I love that goal, because it's realistic and it means that you're bunkering down and you're protecting your business, which I think is something that, if I think of speaking to other leaders who, you know, have got other stories to tell, cash is king, and ultimately that's your sanity, isn't it? That's ensuring you've got business to protect going forward.
Yeah, that's it.
You have been brilliant at the way you've managed social media. What are your thoughts on Clubhouse? How have you found that so far?
I only hopped into one room for 5 minutes when somebody added me, and then I didn't really hang around, so I can't comment on it. I'm, you know, maybe it will really take off. I just think for me it's a time thing, and but it's whether it's Clubhouse, whether it's LinkedIn. Again, I think it's about having a clear strategy and a purpose for it, because I've been very prevalent on social media for a couple of years. Hours and hours of time, and not a lot of return, actually. Not a
Yeah.
huge amount of return. Maybe that's because I was doing it wrong, or whatever. But with agility, I changed the strategy. Like my profile views have like gone, like just dropped completely. But what I'm getting back from it is a lot more effective, because it's targeted. So if Clubhouse is targeted,
Yeah.
you know, then great. Right.
You've just, yeah, I mean, obviously as we record this in February 2021, Clubhouse is still quite embryonic. It's still just an Apple only, invitation only, but I think by March, April it'll be Android, and then possibly the invitation aspect will change. I absolutely agree with what you said. My first instinct when I heard about it was I actually got a bit of panic, because I thought, I am so time poor as it is. How on earth am I going to fit something else into my week? And you ain't having my evenings. Although ironically, I do maybe once every couple of weeks, I'll do an 8 o'clock one, but I'll literally stick to a 30-minute format. What you've just said, Hannah, it's got to be part of an existing strategy and see what that return looks like. And I agree with you. I think that there's so much focus on how many views you get or how many likes you get, but it's actually the quality of the comments and the people that are contributing to your content.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important lesson again. And it kind of brings home what you said at the very start of this, that ultimately for time poor people, you know, for fellow single parents and parents that have, you know, got the benefit of another partner, your time is everything. And I think if the last year hasn't taught us that, we've got blurry lines at the minute, that's the problem. You know, there's no defined workspace. So I think once we come out of lockdown and people can see that split between work and office again, maybe we'll be better at managing that time again.
Yeah. And I would just urge people to do their research before they, you know, embark on any kind of plan or strategy, because a few months ago, I sat down and I mapped out my my hot 100 of companies I wanted to work with. Yeah. And I started adding all those people on LinkedIn, and then I started looking at them, and via Sales Navigator, I realized that some of these people had never posted. They maybe have done the occasional like. So quite clearly, me posting load of video content, they may see it, but it's a lot of wasted time and energy.
It is, definitely.
Yeah. So the strategy changed then from sending Odro videos, actually, Odro and other people out there, but
other videos available.
And I had and a lot more success, you know, sending these videos to CEOs of huge consulting firms, you know, saying it's my first time practicing at this, give me some feedback. And they're like, yeah, do you want to call? I'm like, great.
Well, there you go. If you're listening or watching this, then it's definitely, I mean, I am known within the rec to rec market as the queen of voice notes, and it is nothing to do with strategy. It's just because I'm usually on the go, and it's far quicker than me typing and potentially dropping my phone. So it's just, I can do it on the go while I've got my AirPods in. But I think voice and video are really powerful, and it's a very, very time efficient way to do it. And it's maximum impact then, isn't it? So again, another fantastic tip for you, Hannah. That is brilliant. Thank you. I mean, in terms of predictions for 2021, obviously you've spoken to lots of recruitment business owners over the last year or so, certainly during recruiting in lockdown. Where do you think the sector is going to go next? What's going to happen? What shift do you think?
I don't, you know, I haven't actually spoken to, no, I haven't. I've literally had my head down, you know, doing this. But, you know, I watch things on LinkedIn. I think the shift now will be, and it should have been this for a while, but I think people now are really going to focus on the kind of business that they're looking to win. and that it's better to have quality over quantity. And we've always known that, but then, you know, the culture needs to shift from the way that people are measured in order to do that. So, you know, if I had a manager now, I would have been sacked about 3 months ago, because I certainly wouldn't be hitting my KPIs. I'll say no to anything that isn't exclusive or where I can't add a load of value, and I'm happy with that. I don't want loads of clients. I want really good business where, yeah, I can provide that premium service. And I don't know, I'm just noticing a lot more out there that people are perhaps being braver about what they say yes to, and what they say no to. And I hope that continues.
A very nice way to finish the episode, because for me, quality is literally the key. It's the Q in key recruitment. So I'm a huge advocate of that. And it's not that you shouldn't listen to opportunity, but I think you should be more discerning as a business owner, as a recruiter, as a customer. You know, be discerning in what you say yes to. So it's been really insightful. I knew it'd be enjoyable, and, you know, huge respect to everything that you did last year, especially, and we'll do a shout out to Jeremy as well on the podcast. So thank you to both of you, because you really did keep a lot of people connected, motivated and positive. So on behalf of them, thank you so much, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.